I think I remember one time I was like, just tell him you come fast. It was not funny. It's kind of like, it's just hacky.
Oh,
You know what I mean? But if I figured if I said that in front of people I didn't know and I could still stand there and not feel weird about it, and then I could just kind of start opening up about other things. So that's what I guess that's what I mean personally, how finding my voice was.
What's up? This is Will Ennis, and you're listening to Crate Up. It's a podcast where I talk to different artists about their creativity. I'll be speaking with musicians, directors, comedians, writers, and more. They've all had great success, and they are graciously sharing their stories with us. So let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Today, I'm interviewing Dave Merheje, and I'm really looking forward to this talk and sharing it with you. Dave is a unique comedic voice. There is no one like Dave Merheje. He's like a jazz musician riffing after drinking 10 pots of coffee, and he's like vulnerable, but at the same time, he's got this like hip hop bravado in his style. I've been a fan of his for like 10 years. It was a pleasure to speak with him. He's accomplished so much, especially lately. He has a show on Hulu that's been nominated for an Emmy called Ramy. He plays a character called Ahmed. We get into that. He also is the Juno award-winning comedian of the comedy album Good Friend, Bad Grammar. You can check that out. You can also check out Comedians of the World on Netflix. He's part of that. He is doing so much. Oh, and we mentioned in the interview right off the top about a pretend beef with Nathan McIntosh. They're buddies, and they were going back and forth over Instagram for a couple weeks in prep for their stand-up show that they were going to do. It was like a promo, but it was just so hilarious. I couldn't help but bring it up. But just so you're in the loop with that, if you don't really know what I'm talking about, that's what I'm talking about. If you didn't see it, it was hilarious. Take my word for it. So without further ado, we're going to cut to our talk right now. All right, Dave, thanks so much for being here, dude.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, man. You've done a lot in the past couple of years. You're on an Emmy-nominated HBO show, Ramy. You have Good Friend, Bad Grammar, which won the Juno for Best Comedy Award. You got a Netflix special, Comedians of the World. You're part of that. You're doing so much. But most recently, you're in a heated internet beef with fellow comic Nathan McIntosh. Is this the next Tupac and Biggie? Should we be concerned?
No, there's no. It is. It's a lot less violent and probably more in a joking manner. But also, yeah. I don't. I feel weird doing it, but the show Ramy is on Hulu in America.
Oh, sorry about that, dude.
No worries. Only it would make imagine I just let it slide.
Yeah, everyone's like going to HBO. Like, where is it? Fuck that guy.
But in Canada, it's on Crave, because it's like in the US it's Hulu, and then in Canada it's Crave Starz, and I believe in the UK it's Starz as well, and then the Middle East might be OLN it's like, but I know for sure those in Canada and America, those are the markets. Yeah.
Wow. So it's international. No, dude, that's okay. I actually watched season 1. I got it through Apple TV on my phone. I just bought season 1 that way as well.
I didn't know it was on there too, man. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's great work. But dude, so you're playing Ahmed in that show, and I've been following your comedy over the years, and I noticed, Ahmed's a bit different than maybe Dave on stage, but he has some moments, especially in season 1, where it's like, that's a very Dave Merheje style of comedy where you're like taking the piss out of Ramy, talking, you know what I mean? Like you got a couple really good acting moments where you're giving like monologues in the show. And I was wondering, how much are you shaping this character, you personally?
I think it's, written some like with some of my anxieties and it's like, it's like, and he's I think they're aware of that, like of who I am in real life. So I think they've mixed in some of that, like the idea of me. This character is like, super religious, married, faithful. Like, you know what I mean? He's trying to get Ramy to to go by the faith and live I would say like a good life. You know what I mean? And not fuck around, but like grow up almost. I don't think that's me just yet. Like I don't have
That's not really looking into a mirror on that one, because I don't know if you're
no, but
married
I'm able to, you know, bring in some of my neuroses and some of that, so that comes out in the character.
Oh, dude.
Like my hand gestures, obviously, and how I would react to certain situations, like the anxiety and worrying, and so it's mixed in there. And he's like, and he encourages that, and I get to like rip stuff out and improvise. So it's really, really, really fun, man.
Did you riff the Toy Story bit when you said he's so sensitive? He cried in Toy Story 4, and it's not even the sad one. Was that a Dave Merheje riff, or?
That was a combo of me and Ramy. I think he said the Toy Story part. Yeah, it's a combo. We sometimes I'll just, you know, he'll be like, okay, just go, like, you know, on each take, you know, add like improvise here, and then he'll come over and be like, yo, you should say this or do. So it's a collab. Sometimes it's a collab effort, which I find so relaxing and awesome, because when you don't get to do that all the time. You don't get to be like, you know, hey man, can I riff this? I have this idea. So he's cool with that, that's why I love being on the show.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I imagine it could be, I don't know if it would be anxiety inducing for you or not, but coming from the world of stand-up and then going into a show where you're on camera and they're doing take after take, and, you know, you got to say the same thing maybe 10 times. Were you comfortable falling into acting coming from stand-up, or is it like a growth process for you?
It's still a growth process, but I've always wanted to act since I was like 14, since I was like a little. Like I always wanted to do stand-up and then eventually get into acting. That was my goal, was to find my voice and then transfer over to acting.
For someone who may not know what you mean by that, what do you mean by trying to find your voice before you got into acting?
Like, you know, stand-up, you know, when I started stand-up, I just wanted to be, I was just trying to be funny. I didn't know how, you know, so I would do jokes and, but I didn't really know my voice, meaning in a sense, like what my opinions are about certain topics. Also, finding my voice in a sense of expressing my vulnerabilities or real life issues that happen. You know, that's not always easy to take, like an experience that you may feel uncomfortable about in real life and bring it onto stage in front of strangers. So during the week in Toronto, I would find rooms, and each show I would try to do a different thing. Like one show I would try to improvise. I would take like topics, and whether it was bombing or not, it was like an exercise I gave myself. Or other times I would just say very like uncomfortable things I was feeling. So I would train myself to not second guess when it came from the gut. Wow. Not to overthink it on stage. So then I just got used to, like, and it was kind of like I was like, I think I remember one time I was like, just tell them you come fast. And it was not funny. It's kind of like, it's just hacky. Oh, you know what I mean? But if I said that in front of people I didn't know, and I could still stand there and not feel weird about it, and then I could just kind of start opening up about other things. So that's what I guess that's what I mean personally, how finding my voice was.
Totally. And like, how long would you say that process was? Was this a process of years? And would you go months experimenting and uncomfortableness and all that kind of thing?
Buddy, I think I started in my mid-20s in Windsor, like in and through college a bit. And my voice wasn't found at all. Like I didn't know what I was just trying to be funny. Then I got to Toronto in, I guess, 07 or 08. And I remember getting robbed in Los Angeles by gunpoint, pistol whipped. And I think that was when before that, I was doing both. I was doing setup punch and I was trying to find my voice. But after that, it kind of really like shook me up in a sense that, like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Just do what you want to actually do. So I think that process started in 2008, and really, like, it took about maybe 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. I think it was in between, I would say in between 2 to 4. But it took a while. It wasn't like overnight. It wasn't even, there was multiple times I was just ranting and bombing. I was just screaming. I had no punchlines.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the rhythm, and a lot of my peers and even close friends were like, what are you doing? There was a lot of, I would say, like, there was hatred, but there was a lot of like second guessing, like, this guy doesn't do comedy right, or he's doing comedy, he just rants and then gets like applause because people don't know what to do. So there was a lot of A lot of
Wow.
discouraging words I heard or didn't hear, like to my face. I heard a lot behind my back. So, I don't. For the longest time, I harbored a grudge towards those people, like like in very like,
Yeah.
I would. It was like it was weighing in on me, and it just took, I guess time and age to just be like, it is what it is. Be like I'm like friends with some of those people,
You
and I
became
know
friends
what they
with
said. Huh?
afterwards you became friends or
Yeah, and
nice.
I know what they said. Some will deny it, but some will admit to it. But it's like, you don't know when you're in it sometimes. You're saying things that you may not mean, or you're emotional. You
Yeah.
just have no idea. You can't understand something, so that's your response, whether it comes out of jealousy or hatred. It's like, you know, it happens, man. People can grow.
Hmm. I wonder if other comedians are a bit too close to it to always judge other comics. Obviously, professional joke writers, professional comedians, they know this, but I saw you performing way, way back with my friend back in 2011. And I know what you mean by ranting and lots of energy and applause breaks. You were getting those, but it wasn't, as an audience member, I wasn't like, that's not comedy. I always thought you were really relatable. I.e., if you're going to tell people you come fast, that could be just one example. But you had many,
Yeah,
maybe even just an energy of openness that I thought that's comedy, that's good, that's different. And there were punchlines when I saw you way back when, but
yeah,
I know what you mean by like that. That's one of the things that said this guy's really amazing is because I remember you'd be in like comedy bar or even just a straight up bar open mic
yeah,
on like a Tuesday. And I got the sense that you were just like running around spot to spot to
yeah, yeah.
spot.
Right.
And then it would be like a hurricane would come into the room, or it was just like an undeniable. The room was like, what is that? But it had people in stitches. It had people, fans, like converted. That's how I felt. I hope I'm not trying to pump your tires there or whatever, but that's just how it
No,
was.
I appreciate it. Of course, it's just so dope that you would even think that or say that. I think a lot of times too, when you come in with that type of energy, I think that you kind of overlook the punchlines. There obviously are punchlines. They're sprinkled in. They're in there. It's just that my energy might be so high that you're like, you're just like, and then and a lot of it is like, because I still I remember the Netflix special comments. People were coming at me heavy, like, oh, this is whack. This guy's on coke or something. But when I
Mm,
went back and watched it, just last week, I was just looking for something in it. I was like, no, why did I buy into that? It's like, I
mm,
was slowing down at a certain point. It's just like, people, if people are gonna hate or find something, they'll like latch onto one thing and they'll stretch it out, I feel sometimes
yeah,
in their minds. They're like, well, the whole thing is this guy's on coke. Like, that's just insane, dude. It's just I have high
yeah,
energy. But I guess, yeah, they're at the beginning, I didn't know how to control that energy, right? I was just yelling. Like, I was just all over the place. There was really no form. There was nothing structured about it. And then that's what took so long, was
yeah.
finding the structure and then controlling that and learn. And I'm still learning how to harness it and finding the right pockets to give that energy to. So it's an
Mm.
ongoing process.
Nice. And most of your development was in Toronto. So what I would say in regards to that, do you have favorite rooms in Toronto where you sort of locked in on this process? Favorite rooms to
Yeah,
do
so
your
some
stuff?
rooms are not really much my favorite anymore, because I guess with time they changed, like whether it was the booker changed or the vibe of it. But the Rivoli was always a place for me to find my voice and like, at the time Morgan Flood was booking it and running it, and
Mm.
he would always let me do like 15-20 minutes when it was like an 8-minute set. So
Oh, wicked.
it just, the stage, I loved like working out of that room. um there very, very, very early on, there was the Fox and the Fiddle downtown Toronto, which was on a Sunday, that, like, a lot of people, there was a lot of love and hate for it because it was kind of rowdy. But
Yeah.
that early stages helped me find my voice. And I would say, I'm trying to think now of some of the rooms, like obviously Comedy Bar, and there's like specific shows you do at the Comedy Bar that I found were so fun. Like Jared Campbell and Marito Lopez are two very funny comedians from Toronto. And they run a room before the pandemic, obviously, at the Comedy Bar. It was in the cabaret space, and that was like sold out every I think it was Tuesday. I want to say Tuesday, every Tuesday. And it was just the energy in there was great. So you felt like you walked in there and you wanted to smash or you wanted to do really well. Because the vibe of it was really great.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, with the
I guess those are the last.
Yeah, with the pandemic now, do you? I mean, there are no rooms to do that I know of. How are you dealing with that now? Like, how are you getting your comedy out now?
Well, I wasn't really like since the last set I did was I opened up for Ramy Yusuf in New York when I was living there at the Bell House. Yeah, it was like 2 sold out shows. It was great. It was so fire. And then the pandemic hit, and then I haven't done stand up till about this Saturday. I think it's the first time I'm gonna go on stage twice.
Oh shit!
Since March. Yeah.
Is it going to be indoor? Is it going to be a full audience, or obviously socially
outside?
Distanced? Oh,
it's outside, yeah. Because I'm doing a taping next week too, so I'm just prepping for it. But I haven't been on stage since March, the first week of March, I would say.
Oh man, yeah. I've heard of a lot of different alternative ways to do shows now. Like Bert Kreischer on his podcast was talking about like drive-in shows.
Yeah.
Like instead of laughing, they like honk. And I was curious, like, what would be is that something you'd be into? Or you're like, no, that's ridiculous. Hell no.
Not a ridiculous. I just don't, there's a lot of outdoor shows and parks and all that. I think that's great because, you're getting out there and performing. I think personally, I just had no excitement or energy to do a drive-in show. I didn't want to, just as plain and simple as that. And I don't hate on it or anything like that. It was just me personally. I was like, I don't want to do that at this moment. So
yeah. There's a lot of things I see comedically where comedians, like improvisers, are like, hey, check out my Zoom improv show, and I'm like, I'm not interested. I'm so sorry.
I couldn't do Zoom either.
Yeah.
I just took a break, dude. I just said, you know what, man. Let me see how long I could ride this out, I guess, until something comes back.
Well, I think you're doing a lot of IG stuff, and you seem to have a podcast of your own right now. How are you finding podcasting? Is that an easy transition for you?
This was, for a lot like, friends, you know how it is, man. Like you're in comedy, someone's like, oh man, you should do a pod because they're so popular. You should do a podcast. But I was like, oh, what can I do it about? Like, I didn't want to just like talk into the mic by myself at the moment. I didn't want to do that. So I was talking with one comedian friend in New York about anxiety, and I think we were going to do something about anxiety. That didn't work out. But then my boy, he's not a comedian, his name is Fivos, but we both kind of connected on our anxieties and telling stories and sharing our issues with it. And then he brought up the idea of like doing a podcast with a therapist.
Yeah.
So just him and a therapist, and we would try to tackle different topics each episode, but have somebody on there that's professional and can inform people properly. So we started that. It's me, Fios, and Bennett. And it's called the Beautifully Anxious. And it's we've recorded a bunch, but there are 4 episodes that are out right now on all streaming platforms.
Nice,
you can even go Beautiful Anxious Instagram page, and all the information is there. But yeah, we've released 4, and that podcast helped me see a therapist for the first time.
Oh, really? So is that the therapist you see, the guy on the podcast?
No, I see somebody else for that company. He works in that. He like owns the company, and he put me in touch with somebody there that is now my therapist for like months now. But it's funny because we wanted to do it I wanted to do it to help people out, and then I ended up like as I was recording helping myself out. I was like, maybe I should see one.
Oh shit. Oh man. Yeah, well, like I would wonder, like, if you're going around the country like before COVID and all that, you're so busy, like doing shows, doing TV. Like, were you having a lot of anxiety, and like how would you like compartmentalize? Because like, let's say you have anxiety, but you gotta host the show tonight, you gotta do whatever. Like, did you have strategies? Alcohol? I don't know. Like, what's
Oh, like you mean when I was dealing with no, yeah, for sure. Sometimes I would get high, some drink, obviously. But I think a lot of times too, still till this day, I work myself up, like the anxiety till the actual day or 2 minutes before I get on stage. Like even when I was doing Ramy and Mr. D, I would just get so anxious. Sometimes I couldn't sleep at night, sleep for the week I couldn't. So I still go through those. And it's just, I find like the older I get, the alcohol and weed for me personally, don't help out the process. So I kind of just have to like ride it out, or now going to a therapist, they're giving me tools to help like, go through it, to help figure it out more or less, not maybe solve it, but more of like to assess it. I'm like, what are you really anxious about here? And then just kind of break it down that way.
I wrestle with anxiety myself, and it's like, I'm coming to the piece of the fact that like sometimes, it's never going to totally be gone. Like sometimes it is gone for me. It'll be gone for even months, but like I could be in a car and be like, am I going to have a panic attack right now? Like what the fuck? So the mind is like, it's a life partner. Like your mind is your life partner. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be with that and your partner has issues, i.e. my mind, your mind, everybody. So it's good to know that you're getting the help, man.
Bro, it's like, I remember I had to like this season, I had to like I was in a scene with Ram, like I was in a scene and I think Mahershala Ali was in the scenes with us. And I was like, I think a month, bro, I had like the highest anxiety.
Whoa, leading up to it?
Oh yeah. And my peoples, I remember like friends were like, yo, you gotta calm down. I was on one, dude. I was like so nervous and I was like so anxious, dude. I remember like I was in the trailer, Peoples is there, and I was just pacing and he's like, hey, let's try to relax. I was just like pacing. And then I ended up seeing him when I got out of the trailer. I ended up walking. I forgot what I was doing. It was like 5 a.m. and he was walking. It was just like him. He had a sandwich in his hand. And then we met there for the first time. But I was like, oh, it's just funny to me is like, this guy doesn't know that I was just in the trailer, just like falling apart in my mind.
And then when you see him, you're like super cool, just with your sandwich.
Yeah, trying to hold it together like, yo, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. But like, yeah, it doesn't really like, I don't know, man. For me, I agree with you on.
I think you're cutting out a little.
It's fine. It's not there. And then like another time it's like a month straight or like months, like 2-3 months straight, a week. So.
Yeah, dude, man. For real. So were you like that as a kid? And did you ever do you ever get anxiety about like how did you become a comedian with anxiety? Like, did you have it as a kid and were you nervous ever in school getting up in front of the class? Was that something that was part of it or it didn't really work like that?
Well, to be honest with you, I hated sales. Like I went to school in college. I went to school for advertising and then I switched to marketing. So I had a sales class and I had to do sales presentation. Dude, I sucked. I was so nervous. I bombed. And I told friends I wanted to do comedy. And they're like, well, how are you scared to go in front of these classmates who but you're going to do comedy? And I go, it's completely, in my head, I was like, it's completely different.
Oh, dude, I could totally understand that, man.
You know what I mean? It's not the same. It's like comedy, I really want to do this. So part of it is like, that's what helps me block out the anxiety and the nerves. It's like, I really love this. So
yeah,
I'm kind of up there, caught up with that. Like, this is amazing. Like almost like it's like, I've never really been on a roller coaster, but I could imagine you're like, this is terrifying, but wow, am I having a fun time?
Yeah.
Kind of like that with stand up. And as a kid, I guess I really didn't know, like I probably had anxiety, but I didn't really feel it until I think my early 20s.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I think maybe like between 20 and 24 is I felt, and at the time I was doing like ecstasy on the weekends a lot. And I thought it was that too.
Yeah.
Mix. And then, but it was both. It was that. And then I was finding out that I suffered from anxiety and depression. So
wow.
For the realization of that. But as a kid, I for sure probably had it. I just can't really track it.
Yeah.
Or remember.
I thought that was a cool distinction you made about how it's like with comedy, you love it, so you can ignore the anxiety. But if it's something like a sales presentation, it's really not for you. The anxiety comes out. Sometimes it's almost like the anxiety is a gift, being like pointing you where you got to be. You know what I mean? I kind of relate to that too. I wanted to switch up tacks for a second and talk about like music influence in your comedy, because I noticed you reference rap a lot. I'm a huge rap fan, so I was wondering, what rappers influenced you, or was there something about hip hop culture that influenced your comedy, or am I way off the mark there?
No, hip hop, like, dude, I remember as a kid, I had Beach Boys tape. I don't know how I had the Beach Boys tape, and I think I had like, and then I started to get into MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice.
Yeah,
I think I might have gotten into Michael Jackson. Like, I'm just trying to remember the tapes I had, and then my boy's brother and my cousin hung out, and then I think they showed us, or they were watching Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, like from the album, and I was like, what is this? This is amazing. And I somehow I got my mom to get me the tape and I was kept on playing it, and then one day she heard it on her own, and she like ripped it up, like she was pulling. When I came home, she was like, this is vulgar in the language. And I think since then I was just really into rap and hip hop, and I just didn't stop. And then what interests me as I grew up is just like, I guess I guess it's the aesthetics, everything about it, dude. It's just the energy that when someone's rapping or when the records are on, I can just kind of relate to stand-up wise. It's more of the performance and the energy as I connect to and find influence and then try to bring it over to my stand-up.
So it's maybe not necessarily the humor that you find in hip hop, but it's more like that, like bravado, like in your face. Would that be? Yeah.
That too, the energy, the wordplay, the metaphor, all of that. It's mostly like, the energy.
Yeah, man. Sometimes I feel like I'm like almost like addicted to hip hop. Like I want to listen to other stuff, but because I started so young, I'm just like, I gotta listen to everything.
It's like, I can't really relate to rock. Like I could play a rap record and then like go do comedy. I can get motivated that way. I can't do any other genre that way. So it's like, whether it's a Kendrick record or a Drake record or J. Cole, like I can listen to J. Cole's the Climb Back record.
Yeah.
I think it's called, and then I could just get motivated. It just puts me in a place where I want to go up on stage and try and do my thing. They're not related in the sense that I'm telling jokes and he's talking like, consciously about certain issues, but I mean, it still gives me that energy to go do what I want.
True, man. True. So would you say you're more about like the lyrics in hip hop or the beat? For me, I'm more beat. I love like producers, I
wouldn't say I'm more of a lyrics person. I do love the sounds and the beats of certain things. Like there's an artist called Baby Keem, I think, and it just love whoever's producing it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just tune out from the words. I don't even know what they're saying, because that just the beat. So it really depends. So at some points in some artists, I'll just tune out from lyrics and listen to the beat, and then other times I really focused on, like with J. Cole and Drake and Kendrick, I try to as much listen to the words as I can, and Jay-Z and stuff like that, or Nas. Right. But other times I'm just like, kind of like, if Amigos record comes out, I'm just going to vibe with the beat.
Yeah, man. No, I'm feeling that way with, I don't know if you know, like Griselda, like Conway the Machine right now just released a thing, and it's like
Conway. I just was listening. There's this record, something about tears.
Yeah, that's produced by Eric Sermon. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. That's the record that hit me. That record's great, dude. I kind of like, I went through something I'm going through something right now, like it's from July, that kind of like, I listened to it and I was like, oh man, like he expressed, it's not the same thing, like what he's saying to what I would be going through, but I'm saying the sentiment is there, and I really love that record. I gotta listen again, but that for me, that was the standout record.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's crazy. Like, growing up, like I grew up like middle class, like white kid from Toronto, but like, just like you're saying, like, I don't know what it's like to grow up like with that struggle or whatever, but something made me feel so connected to it that it's almost like we're all one. Like I don't have those experiences, but for whatever reason, my soul is like, it clicks in and it's like, that is what I want to hear. That's what I want to listen to, But yeah, what I love about them is like they're pulling back all these 90s, not that I'm just like 90s rap guy, but the fact is I think Eric Sermon is actually producing that, which is random. And they'll pull up like Premiere, and they have all this old they're drawing on these like legends, but they're still kind of inventive. It's not like you know what I mean? It's,
I think they give you the energy of like the 90s, like how like the era I grew up in, and it's like it's just kind of like beats and rap, like you know what I mean? That's all it feels like. They're rapping, they're really rapping over these beats, and it's I feel that's what sometimes that's what the 90s kind of is known for, right? Like you know what I mean? People back, not that they're not here. People now, there are people here that want to now in this era that want to listen to rap and do that. But I mean, back then it's just like Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, Nas, Jay. Like you just Busta. You just heard people like Capone and Noriega. They were just rapping over these beats.
Yeah,
you know.
Man.
So I think Griselda gives you that, like Conway, West Side, and Benny the Butcher. They give you that energy, and I'm here. I love it. You know what I mean? I'm into this thing. You know, some friends of mine put me onto it. I didn't discover it myself. But yeah, I was just listening to West Side is probably my favorite.
Oh, he's got a great voice, man. He's got that like high kind of like spacey voice.
Like I just more of the, I guess it's kind of I feel like I like his voice.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, but I don't know. I not feel funny saying it. It's just hilarious. You're like, what do you like about this rapper? I'm like, his voice. Like, I'm not giving you anything else. I'm like, I'm a child. I'm like, I like his voice, but he has his stylistically, he's dope too. I love his album covers. With him, I feel he adds this like style.
It's interesting you're talking about his album covers, because I'm finding this now too, like in this era, appreciating artists not just for their music, but for their visuals. Like Action Bronson released this video called Latin Grammys. I don't know if you've seen it, but like he superimposes the song's fire, right? But the video, he superimposes his face on like strongman competitions from the 90s. So the visual, yeah, man, it's just a genius, like blending music with visual. Like in 2020, I feel like that's so much more compelling to you.
Bro, there's a real cool video I saw yesterday from an artist from Toronto. I would check it out. It's like, his name is Mustafa, and it's just like, visually it's dope. I really enjoyed it, and the song's amazing as well. But yeah, when you're talking about, I think a lot of times, and in album covers too, like are done so. I get excited when they come with that, when they do that, when the rollout, and then the album covers are they put some time and effort into it. That's what it was like when we were doing the Good Friend Bad Grammar album. I was introduced to an individual named Bronson. Built by Bronze is his handle on Instagram, and he's a rapper himself, but he just had these great concepts for like covers and all, and he helped me do the cover of like A Good Friend Bad Grammar. He would tell me I was like, I was thinking something along the lines of hip hop, and then he's like, what about the old Source covers, the magazine, like something like that. So he came up with that, then he was like, what about the Kendrick? I really liked the Kendrick with the, you know, how they black out their eyes. So I had a family picture, and we did that. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's him again. So I really thought, you know, as comedians, you don't really do that. You just put out your album and then the cover, whatever it is. And he kind of inspired me. I just wanted, and rap inspired me to not do that. I was like, man, comedians sometimes are just like so not with it in that lane. It's corny to me. Not corny, I don't want to say it because it's kind of harsh, but it's like we don't put that extra effort maybe into that, because we're thinking so much about jokes and how funny the album is. But I'm like, what if we added style to the covers, and that's where. So now I try to do same thing with me and Ali Hassan, another funny comedian. We did a collabo album called We Ain't Terrorists. So I told him, what if we kind of redid the Black Star cover?
Oh, sick. Okay.
So we had the picture, we did the photo shoot with the pictures, and we just kind of used Street Fighter, you know, the fonts from Street Fighters. So, and then Bronson again comes in, and he was like, why don't you do it where it's like an old movie poster, like with the executive, and we did that. You could see it on IG, and then he also introduced just having it like compact disc, like how compact CDs are. So he would throw out these ideas, and it was very fun, man. I think it adds to the whole package. And to get people excited, not just to put your album out, boom, done. We wanted to do a rollout, and I did it for Good Friend Bad Grammar and We Ain't Terrorists, and that's how I want to operate now with albums, is just having a rollout like rappers do. Remember, like you know, do the heavy rollouts.
Yeah,
I found that so like back then with Bad Boy, Def Jam.
yeah. You remember you ever hear about Big Mac? It was Biggie and Craig Mack. They had like Big Mac burgers. Like
Yeah,
that's hilarious, man. If you could get like, even if you made like a CD, like a Dave Merheje CD in 2020, and like sold them out the back of a car, like that'd be hilarious just for the IG aspect of it. Or
yeah, dude, that's it, dude. I'm telling you, just stuff like that. I'm gonna be doing and thinking about doing.
nice, man. Are you and Ramy gonna be touring at all? Like once things open up again, are you guys gonna be like a comedy? Not a duo, maybe a duo, but like, you know, hitting the nation together because you're both doing stand up.
Yeah, I don't think like you know, the first season of Ramy, we did a promo run. So it was me and him and Steve, one of the other actors on the show, is a funny comedian as well. He came with us to DC, and then me and Ramy did DC, Detroit, and Houston. So we kind of did that, and then if he's in town or we're in the same city and he's doing a show, he's like, "Yo, come to a spot." That we never talked about doing it. We talked about like touring and stuff, but nothing like set in stone. But he's also like mentioned, you know, he's gonna direct and produce my a special of mine. The next one I want to do, I want him to direct it, and he's gonna do it. So yeah. Like hopefully when it starts to roll back and we start to get to do things like that, that'll happen.
And he directs his show, right? Ramy's directing his own.
He directed the first season. He directed some episodes, and this year as well. Dude,
man, that's tight. That's tight.
He directed one of my favorite episodes on the show is the 9/11 one. That's when him as a kid, he has a dream where he talks to Osama bin Laden in the kitchen. I guess for me, because it's like, I remember where I was on 9/11, like being Middle Eastern in Windsor, you know.
Yeah, man.
So when I watched that, I was just like, it was that episode and the mom episode in the first season.
Oh, she gets the citizenship?
No, the first season, she's when she first become like an Uber driver.
Oh, yeah.
She feels like, you know, not important or not needed. And it's like something that I started to think about my own mother. Like it brought out those feelings. I'm like, oh, I never thought about it from that perspective. So those two episodes, for the first season, were my two favorite episodes.
Nice, man. And what was your favorite acting moment from season 1 or season 2? You personally?
Season 1, I would say the diner scenes. Whenever me, Mo, Ramy, and Steve were in the diner, there was the one where Ramy's gonna takes the gummy bear to get high. There was that one, and there was like another scene where I was praying outside, and I come inside and I start telling Ramy and Mo are talking about masturbation, and I tell them that I don't masturbate to porn, I masturbate to images of my wife. I think that was from the first season, and in the second season, I would say though, the whole Atlantic City episode when we meet Steve and Mo were in, and then the bathroom scene is when I'm kind of going at Ramy in the bathroom is one of my because I've always wanted to do something like that acting wise, where it's not comedy, more or less it's like kind of like I'm more of on a serious note. So that was one of my favorite things to do.
Dude, the Atlantic City one is probably one of my favorite episodes. That and the one where they visit the billionaire to raise the money because he's just so absurd.
Yeah, it's weird saying your favorite episode, I guess, is the one you're in like a lot.
Dude, it's a great episode.
It was the other one is my boy Paul Aaliyah plays the guy who does the praying.
Oh, okay. Oh, like the LeBron James of prayer.
So it's like a family affair, bro. That's like the homie. But that episode's wild. That dude who plays the I think he's Saudi, but that was great. What a great performance, man.
Yeah, dude. And it was weird, like seeing how I was so curious, like, I don't know if you know about this, but so how they got Mia Khalifa in an episode, because if you're writing with her in mind and she declines being in that episode where they see the guy, what if somebody declines? Like, I don't know. Do you know like how that went about, how they got her in?
I don't know. He didn't tell. He just told us that she's doing it, and we were like, oh wow. I don't think I asked. I was like, oh, that's wild. And Paul, who plays the guy that prays, was on set and was in the scenes. So he came. I remember he was in New York filming. He flew in from LA, and when he got back to the crib, the apartment, I asked him, I go, how was it? Like,
Like something happened, like
Yeah,
something.
I was like, oh, how was it? Like I don't even think he took his coat off. I go, yo. But she had posted, like, I saw somebody tagged us in a thing where if you wanted to be with if you were in a room with 3 men or something, and she put up the picture of me, Mo, and Ramy.
Oh, that's
I
hilarious.
thought that was great. And then I just watching people underneath that go, oh, that's Mo, Ramy, and shit, I don't know what the other guy's name is. And then I remember I was like, yo, I should comment. It would be hilarious. I go, hey, man, my name's Dave. I play Ahmed. And the guy's like, oh, shit, my bad, man. He's like, look, man, it's not really our fault. You know, you should be in more scenes. Like, he started to act, like he started to not, he's like, yo, it's not my fault. And it started to.
Now he's campaigning for you. He's like, I'll be your manager, man. I'll get you representation. Get you out there, man.
Funny thing, like he's like, yo, it's not my fault, bro, that I didn't know. It was you guys' fault. Like, it was
Yeah.
funny. I don't know. I love that shit. I don't. Yeah.
That's
I don't
funny,
get offended.
I like that you can like laugh at yourself and like and roll with that, you know.
It's like you know, when people you know, sometimes people can't give. Some people just can't go, hey, good job. Sometimes they have to add what their other thoughts. That's just them as humans. So you'll get where they're like, man, great job. Like, man, wow, I wish you were in more. And then you're just like, look, I can't do that. I can't. That's not up to me right now. That wasn't up to me right now. I'm very grateful to be a part of a project and still working, but also grateful to be a part of a dope project. Like, I don't have to lie. I don't have to be like, you know, I can literally tell you, this is a dope show. I'm on a dope show. I'm not on a whack.
Man. And you're doing a great job in the show. I can honestly say that too. Like,
thank you very much.
That Atlantic City one, man, it's hilarious. Like, it is hilarious, but you're right. The tone changes when you confront Ramy about, I think he's like, he's judging you because you're at the strip club.
I let him. Yeah.
Like, that's great. That's great, man. And the physical comedy, you have very good, subtle physical comedy, like just like walking away, like slinking away in the strip club and the bouncers being like in your face. Like, dude, man, it's great work, dude. It's great work.
My boy, a long time ago, I did like a short for him in LA. This is like 06, 07. He would be like, and I didn't have no scene. I didn't have no dialogue. So I was just doing act outs, and I remember he goes, you got really funny act outs. But I didn't, at the time I was like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Because you were like, fuck, I'm not talking. So what's the fucking point? Like, I was just so ignorant. Yeah, and then now that you say that, I was like, oh shit, this dude, he was like, you know what I mean? He was giving a good compliment, but I was too ignorant to be like accepting it.
Yeah, and now you got more layers to it because they're giving you dialogue, they're giving you like character development, right? So everything, even the act out parts are getting to come out too. Like, it's more like almost like a flavor to the character, you know, like just a little gesture, and you're like, you know, even greats, like you think about like the 70s, like De Niro in certain movies, just sort of like how it's like people imitate De Niro and they imitate his act outs, you know, it's kind of, you know, so it is important.
Harry and all that, like, you forget how his body sometimes at points was making you laugh without even him saying anything. Like, just the start of the scene, he's not talking and you're like already dying. And it's such a skill to know how to do and learn, or not learn, but to have.
Yeah, man. You know who I think does it really great is in a really subtle way is Conan O'Brien. Yeah. When a guest like offends him, he just freezes and stares. It's so subtle. And I'm like, this is fucking, it was one of my comedy heroes, that guy.
You know, Paul Rudd does that well, I feel. Yeah. And Larry David does it well too, I find. Yeah. But Larry's just being Larry, so.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite comedian that would come to mind if I asked you that question? Whether it's someone like a peer or whether it's someone you looked up to, you know?
Well, I always looked up to Richard Pryor from the jump. Mm-hmm. So I still look up to Richard Pryor. I would say Sebastian Maniscalco, I find so funny, man.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Mike Epps, and then Nathan McIntosh. I know we're fighting on Instagram, but like just some of he has like one of my favorite jokes. He goes about white privilege. He goes, somehow white women have removed themselves from white privilege. And it's so funny. So he always, to me, has like um, super, super funny takes on things.
Yeah.
I would say Alex Pavone, Arthur Simeon, Patrick Hakeem, Nick Reynolds, and these are all Toronto guys. So funny.
Do these guys have albums? Because I've seen Alex Pavone live, and he was great. And he was riffing a lot. Do these guys all have albums and stuff?
I don't know if Alex and Patrick do. They might have clips like videos on YouTube. Arthur Simeon does for sure have an album I would check out. Nathan has multiple albums that I would check out that are on all streaming platforms. Ramy, of course, his HBO special. I was there. I
gotta check that out. I saw it on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet.
Mo Amer, his special on Vagabond. He's super. Mo's great at Mo can go into scenes. Like he'll attach characters and he'll just play out the scene. And if you watch Vagabond on Netflix, you can see a prime example of that. And of course the Bill Burrs.
Burr's great.
I don't know why I'm drawing, but Sebastian, Mike Epps, Kevin Hart, of course. Kevin Hart's Seriously Funny is one of my favorite. Yeah, I'd say top 5 specials I've seen. Wow. In Chappelle's last one, the one he won an Emmy, was so.
Yeah. Have you ever run cross paths with these guys just in your travels?
I've seen. I wanted to mention too. Sorry, I didn't.
Keep doing.
Sarah Hennessy. I think she has an album out too from Toronto. Sandra Battellini album as well. Just her cadence and her performance is so great. But I met Bill Burr in 2011. I think I went to a taping at Just for Laughs. It might have been a John Doerr. I can't remember. It might have been a John Doerr taping, like a John Doerr stand-up thing where they have different comedians. I think it was Funny as Hell or something. Remember that thing he had on HBO Canada? Yeah. And Bill was introduced himself. He goes, "Hey, Bill," and then I guess one of the ADs came over and was like, "Hey, we got to quiet down." And Bill made a joke like, "Hey, we got to quiet down." And then the person took it personal. They're like, "No, I'm just saying because," and he's like, "I was just joking." So I thought that was funny, but also it was interesting to me. That's his personality. You got to, I was like, oh, that would be something Bill would do. Sebastian, I think I saw him when Russell Peters was doing a taping, a hosting taping at Just for Laughs years ago. And I think we were in the green room or in the back area, and he was there. Nice.
Yeah, I think I wasn't he in the new Scorsese? Was Sebastian Maniscalco?
Yeah, he was in.
That's crazy.
He plays a mafia guy.
So I got to go check out his stand-up. That's high praise.
He has his act outs are ridiculous. His act outs are another level of he really acts them out.
Oh,
he has
man,
no clue about how his buddy bought a bow and arrow, and he goes, "What are you going to use a bow and arrow for?" And he goes, "Imagine if a robber comes in and then he acts out the robber coming in and he acts out his buddy setting up the bow and arrow and shoots the bow and arrow through his chest, but then the robber's doesn't know what's happening, and he's like, did I rob an Apache? I think he says." He just watch his specials, dude. It's a ridiculous, enjoyable time.
Dude, man, that's great. I'll definitely do it, man. Yeah, we're pretty much near the hour. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but what should people be looking out for you next? What's exciting for you next?
We'll probably film I think next year, season 3 of Ramy. I don't know when, but it'll be next year. Me and Ali Hassan, like I said, have an album out that's on Apple, Spotify. It's on all the streaming platforms. It's produced by Howl and Roar. That's a production here in Canada. So that's great.
Is that We Ain't Terrorists or that's something else?
We Ain't Terrorists. Good for Bad Grammar is also out too, but that's produced by Macaw Studios. Yeah. So those are all available on Apple, Spotify, all streaming platforms, and then the podcast as well with myself, Fivos, and Ben. The Beautifully Anxious and that's all on if you go to my Instagram, Dave Merheje, it's all there.
That's dope, man. So at Dave Merheje is the Insta, I think.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the screen so people can go anytime they check into this. Thanks so much, man. You're you're one of my favorite comedians, and this has been amazing, dude. Seriously, dude.
And I had a good time here.
Good to know. All right. Much thanks to Dave Merheje. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all had a really good time. If you liked us, this was Create Up with Will Ennis. If you didn't like us, this was This American Life. That's all for this week. I'll see you on the next episode. Mwah. Goodbye.